His Instagram says designing for the 1%, so I need to understand what that means. But please welcome Krish Kothari. I'm so happy to have you here.
I'm only going to add value if you have a certain budget. A premium house today is, I would say, starting at about 20,000 rupees a square foot.
Are you into this logo furniture? Fendi, 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 Fendi. What's the craziest thing someone's asked you to do? I have to discuss this. Has Vastu driven you mad?
The way I learned is probably from my net sum of experiences that I've had in life. AI doesn't miss, humans miss.
Do you follow trends?
Yes, I do, but I don't like the word for interiors. I think interiors is something that's felt.
Hi guys, welcome to a beautiful episode of Fashionably Purnia where we are discussing design and home. And as I know, home is everyone's favorite topic. The reason why it looks so beautiful where I am, because we are in somebody's studio who really understands design, who lives it. His Instagram says designing for the 1%, so I need to understand what that means. But please welcome Krish Kothari. I'm so happy to have you here.
Thank you for introducing me.
Yeah.
I'm super excited to have this conversation with you, and I hope it's like very, very engaging.
It's always so nice to go to somebody's studio who kind of does spaces for a living, because it's always a beautiful space to sit in. Also, the coffee is very good. He told me the coffee is going to be really good here, and you're right, it's excellent. So we're in Mumbai, in Prabhadevi, if I'm correct, yeah. And how long have you been here?
So we started in 2016, where my entire team fitted in half of this space.
Oh, wow.
But we went from 3 to 4 people in 2016 to now 30 plus people with an office in Dubai as well. The growth's been linear. Few years were exponential. We were really scared when COVID hit. Obviously, everyone was scared. But interestingly, our business grew a lot, and the number of projects increased a lot during COVID, which was interesting.
Yeah.
In fact, outside in the open space, we housed around 150 laborers. This became like a sleeping complex, because at that time we couldn't shift people, we couldn't transport people other than from your own facility to site. So we had to organize buses, PMC doctors, everything.
It's nice that they had work during that time.
Yes.
And they had a place to stay. That's wonderful, because that was a huge issue.
Yeah.
But the home industry, I think, really picked up during and after COVID, because as I've discussed with other home designers and stuff, like everyone realized the importance of the home.
Yeah. So basically, before COVID, all of us used to entertain by, booking out, for example, suites in hotels, throwing private parties at various places in Bombay.
Yeah.
But when COVID hit and people actually had to stay in their house, they realized that if their houses were not big enough and they didn't have the kind of entertainment space, it was becoming restrictive. So what ended up happening is, during COVID and after COVID, people who were living in 2,000, 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 square feet moved to 8,000, 10,000, 15,000 square feet just to create entertainment spaces for the home.
Yeah.
Because they didn't want to go out anymore. It was all about having people over.
Well, two things. A fear that, God forbid, if this ever happens again, I need to have an ecosystem and a home where I have everything. I think everybody realized how much they enjoy spending time at home. Home office became a thing, all these things became a thing afterwards.
Yeah,
which is great for your industry, I guess.
It was interesting because before COVID, someone who was doing a luxury home would think a luxury bedroom, or a master bedroom without the walk-in and the bathroom would be around 400, 500 square feet. But now we're seeing, en suites which are 2,000 square feet, where they have a sleeping area, a lounging area, a walk-in area, and a bathroom area, and it's all one space.
It's like a studio apartment in itself.
Yeah. So, if you tell someone there's a 5,000 square foot apartment, but it's a 3-bedroom or a 2-bedroom, they'll be like, what? Well, it's not only happening in India, it's actually happening all over the world, even in Dubai, some of the projects we're doing.
Yeah.
The amount of space that they need for the same function was not the case before COVID. So the entire perspective towards interiors have changed, and people have started spending a lot more on their houses, just because the importance of the home and sort of entertaining in there has become more important than just going out.
Home as a topic has been trending since then. Like, even if you see online, on any social media channel, whether it's Instagram or long form content on YouTube, any content that has to do with home or home design does so well. And I am the biggest, like, I don't know, champion of this. I sit and watch home videos all day long. So as a whole, this industry is doing so well, which is amazing, right?
A lot has changed since COVID, that was one thing, but it's generally just taken off a lot. Like, the kind of projects that I'm seeing around the world, not only from coming out from us, but just in general on YouTube and Instagram. I mean, it's some it's some unreal, fantastic stuff that I'm seeing, which no one would even have imagined that kind of stuff 7 years ago.
People are getting creative because people are spending money. That's why. Okay, so I want to ask, what does this designing for the 1% mean?
It just talks about our portfolio. Effectively, all the projects we've done are for, I would say, not even the 1%. That's
0.1%?
probably the 0.1%. I think it's also a lot to do with like our philosophy of work. Like, for example, the places that I've been to, the places that I've traveled to, what I kind of see as interiors, I generally, most of the clientele that come in are of that level. I can't specify the names for obvious reasons.
Right, but he does like celebrities, big industrialists. We can't specify names, but
Mostly industrialists.
I'm sure if you can Google you and they'll find out.
Yeah,
maybe?
it's there are things on Vogue and AD, and you can see, but because of our non-disclosure agreements, I can't specify.
Right.
We're in a really, really interesting period because 7 years ago, no one would speculate building houses or apartments the way they are today. So imagine what we're going to see in the next 10 years.
Yeah, it's only growing, right?
Yeah.
Working for the 1.1%, does that mean you only take projects that are of a certain size and of a certain caliber? Because I know I have been to somebody in Bombay, another design firm, and they've said that they don't do apartments less than a certain size. They just don't.
Yeah.
Or is it because you do only for the 0.1% of Indians, at least here, because your price point can only be afforded by a certain group of people?
So it's an interesting question. So in terms of project size, we don't exactly have like a fixed minimum size because for me, whenever I sit with a client and sort of discuss with them, I want to know that they have the budget to spend on construction. Otherwise, why are you hiring me? I'm only going to add value if you have a certain budget.
Right.
And I mean, I can talk openly about the figures. I would say a premium apartment in India, if you take a weighted average cost per square foot, which means that what they spend on the overall house divided by the square footage, whether it's electronics, furniture, everything, a premium house today is, I would say, starting at about 20,000 rupees a square foot. And it goes up to even 50.
Like in Mumbai or just all over India?
Not even
like
in
an
India.
average in India.
I'm saying in Dubai, if you take the cost per square foot and I convert it to Indian rupees, it's the same figures.
Yeah.
London, where we're doing projects, Singapore, where we're doing projects, even Bombay, it's all the same.
It's a myth that India is cheaper, no? India is as expensive or more as any city if you want to make a luxury home, right?
So I can't really speak too much about India as a whole because that conversation is
What
really
about
long.
Bombay?
But I would say Bombay. So if you look at Bombay's real estate price, it's insane.
Right.
It's not. I have clients, can't specify names, where the apartments are 150 crores, 140 crores. Just the apartments without the fit out work.
Right.
If you talk about those numbers in Dubai for the same amount of size, or even most areas of London, other than probably Mayfair and a couple of places, these figures out here are insane.
They're insane.
They're absolutely insane. And then on top of buying a 150 crore house, which is let's say 12,000 square feet, they're spending another 50 crores on doing it up.
Yeah, so it's a 200 crore project. Basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And people think that doing interiors in Bombay would be cost effective, but actually it's not, because in interiors you have two parts, right? To it, especially in the luxury segment. You have one is your contracting work, which is labor oriented work on site, which is not too expensive compared to developed nations.
Right.
But then when you're importing items, because of the duties, the GST and the tax structures, effectively the entire project cost balances out. So in Dubai, you have cheaper product cost, but more expensive labor.
Right.
In London, you have cheaper product cost, but way more expensive labor.
Right.
In Bombay, you have significantly cheaper labor cost, but way more expensive product.
Right, because duties in India just kill everybody.
It's insane.
Right?
It's insane. And there's no way around it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Another thing your profile says is that you're powered by technology.
Yes.
I just want to know what that means.
Quite a lengthy conversation, but I'll try to simplify it as much as I can. So in the design process, there is the actual design work, which is drawings, materials, mood boards, thinking, conceptualization. And then there is design documentation and process. The design documentation and process 5 to 6 years ago was purely manual, with designers sitting on Excel sheets and filling things up and stuff like that.
Making those like charts
and specification sheets, like this tap of this metal color of this specification of this dimension. Now we have artificial intelligence doing it for us. Okay. So we have a lot of AI that's incorporated in our process of work, and not only in design, even project management, which I'll get to later. But from the design point of view, once the drawings are made and once the renders are done, once the client has approved everything, for us to make a spec sheet now is a question of 3 days. Before it was 15 days. So I'm looking at how to incorporate technology in to make my workflow time shorter and give more accuracy, because AI doesn't miss, humans miss. So it's not really replacing the designer because the designer interprets the client's requirements, and that's a very human-centric process. It's not going to
So
replace
there's
that.
no threat to the designer.
Not in the next 5 years, because
Then after that?
can't say, because
Yeah.
what AI was 5 years ago and what it is today, nobody even knew it would, and how
Exactly.
it's growing, right? So simple thing, right? You go to ChatGPT, you go onto Midjourney, and you say, I have a 5,000 square foot apartment in Bombay. It's sea facing, and I like ultra luxury interiors. I want it contemporary. I want it I want a neutral color scheme, and I want these products in it. It'll create a render for you with all those products. But the truth is, that render doesn't capture the client's personality. It doesn't capture the client's functional needs. It doesn't capture a lot of things. It'll make it look beautiful, and most likely you can't even build that because it's unrealistic. It doesn't
Right.
take into account material sizing limitations and things like that.
Right. And location maybe also.
Even location. So AI hasn't really made a dent to us so far in terms of design, but in terms of the processing work, in terms of project management.
The administrative
Yes,
work. It
it's
helps
taken
with that.
it's taken care
the
of
boring
that.
stuff.
Yeah. And in project management, big time. Project managers can make mistakes on a schedule when
Right.
they're planning construction. If
Right.
one thing shifts, they might not shift the other related activities.
Right.
But AI doesn't make mistakes. So as long as you teach the AI the logic, which we've spent about 3 years doing, your project management also is to a T. Almost to a T, I would say. So I
Right.
feel like it's the way to go.
Yeah.
I couldn't do without it.
Is that what you think sets you apart? Because in a place like Mumbai, there are a lot of design firms. There are some like legacy design firms. There are a lot of newer people also doing a very good job. But just because, I mean, Bombay has the maximum amount of billionaires, there's a demand, obviously, for great design work. What sets you apart from everybody else that is in the space that is well known, and why would a particular industrialist or a particular actor go to you?
So the project management technology is basically what I think sets us apart. And most of our clients don't really only come to us for design work. I mean, Talati, Netarwala, they're way more experienced than we are in terms of design
Right.
work. But then there's the project management implementation, where design consultants don't really like to get into that as much as
Right.
possible, because that's actually the tedious, painful work. Creating a design, doing something beautiful, creating the drawings is 3 to 4 months, maybe 5 months, maybe 6 months, depending on the size of the project. But then hand-holding the client all the way from start of construction till the end with systematic reporting, controlling 26 to 27 different agencies and
God.
controlling their activities is the dirt that people don't want to get into. And we are kind of constantly evolving every day to make that more organized, because it's a very unorganized industry. Contracting is very unorganized.
You take basically the client's requirements for a home from end to end,
Yes.
including the contracting, including everything.
Including the
And
design.
everything becomes your headache,
Including the design, the contracting, the project management, the project planning, the accessorizing, and the servicing, and the AMCs 3 to 4 years after that.
Oh wow.
Yes. End to
Because
end.
you know what, if you have that kind of budget, you must be A, very busy, and B, you can use that budget to kind of make it somebody else's problem, because sometimes you hire someone to do a job, but that you have a job to like watch over them, and then that's
Yeah.
again stressful, and nobody wants stress.
Not really related to what you asked me,
Yeah.
but it kind of goes back to the reason I even got into this is
Yeah.
because I wanted to solve the pain points of making a home or an office.
Okay.
And the pain points of making a home and an office is not the design work. It is
Yeah.
the actual final finished product.
Right.
So I spend most of my time on systems development, interestingly.
Like, what was your education? Did you have
So-
education in design, architecture?
No.
or-
So I studied in Cathedral in Bombay till the 8th grade. Then I went to UWC in Singapore.
Right.
I studied there for 5 years. I did the IB. After IB, I went to university in Boston, where I studied finance and a minor in law.
Okay.
Completely different.
No, but I feel like a good education always helps.
So I
everywhere.
came back,
Yeah.
and then I kind of spent a lot of time in Milan, and I just fell in love with interiors and furniture design. And that's how I started. When I basically started in 2016, I had a team of qualified designers, and I was just conceptual and looking at the process and systems of how things work, because I was trained in business. They were trained in design.
At least all the technical parts of the job you've learned on the job.
Yes, all the technical parts of the job I've learned on the job. And then 2 years ago, I actually went and got qualified in interior design.
Okay.
Because I wanted to kind of
Yeah.
get into it further. And in Dubai also, you have to be, no matter what your experience is, no matter what you've built, you have to have that.
The paperwork.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. So
Understood.
as of 2 years ago, I was qualified, but at that point, I already had finished 80% of my portfolio that you see today.
Oh, wow.
Honestly, when I did the program for my qualification, I didn't learn that much, other than probably a few things, in terms of AutoCAD standards and things like that. I think interiors is something that's felt and learned on site with the people actually making the product, but that's just my take.
No, I agree with you. I think a lot of creative jobs, you can't really teach them in a classroom. The person has to be like on field or in the actual job to learn it. That's the only way. I remember I was in New York and I went to FIT for like a styling course, and then this is the biggest waste of my time because you can't teach someone how to have style or like how to even put things together. What was great education was being an intern at Harper's Bazaar in New York.
Yeah.
That's where I actually learned like the foundation of what it is to style and how to put together an editorial. Like certain creative jobs you learn on the job. It's just a thing.
The way I learned is probably from my net sum of experiences that I've had in life. Everything that I've seen in my life kind of shapes the way I approach a project.
Right.
And I do this with my team. I take my entire design team to Salone. Every year I make it mandatory. It's in Milan. It's the main furniture and interiors fair. It happens in April every year.
Okay.
You take any top tier Italian brand. They have multiple designers on board who create these wall systems, create different things. And when you have a team in India, it's very important as a principal to kind of go and expose them, because that's actually how they're increasing their creative threshold, by seeing new things.
Exposure, right?
It's all exposure. Luckily for me, I've had the benefit of traveling a lot as a child because I've lived in so many different places. But I like to pass on that to my team. I don't like to tell my team that this is the right way to do it. I kind of give them the logic as to why it should be done this way, and then I show them how other things are done.
Right.
I like to educate them and grow them in that sort of way.
Yeah, because if you're growing alone, it's not going to help you, right? I mean,
Doesn't.
everybody has to kind of grow together for it to work. I mean, you have 30 people here. Everybody has to be on the same page.
You can't scale if you don't expose them.
Yeah.
Because there are projects in this office that I'm not handling.
Yeah, that's
And they are just handling the client, everything. So I take them to Paris, I take them to Italy.
People are going to be applying for a job with Krish now. They're going to be like, oh.
I think all the good design firms do that, to be very honest.
They do that?
Yes.
I didn't know this was a thing. I mean, I'm hearing this for the first time.
Yeah.
I guess it's a great space to work then. Okay, I do want to talk about design, your design language. Okay, it was something which I noticed like looking through your work, and now that I'm in your studio, I don't see that much of India as an inspiration or in your aesthetic when it comes to your design language. It feels very modern to me. It feels, if I may say so, a little Italian, but not really Indian. So being a design firm based out of India, is India not a source for inspiration or design that you use in your language or in your work?
We definitely have certain elements of India, I would say. Like, for example, the marble inlay work or the mosaic work that we do on projects, that's definitely inspired by, North Indian inlay work. But for the most part, yes, it is inspired. It's globally inspired interiors. We kind of take elements from everywhere. There's certain things from Singapore, there's certain things from China, there's certain things from the US, there's certain things from Europe. But yes, a lot of it is Italy, because we do end up spending a lot of time there.
Yeah.
And the Italians really know how to make their products. I mean, and there are a few companies in India that are making product which is equivalent to that, but we kind of do a mix and match. And also, we design as per the client's personality. So if you actually see all the projects, you may see some similarities in terms of detailing, but the material schemes, the look and feel, very different. We don't have like a go-to look and feel. The client's personality determines the look and feel.
Yeah. Every designer says this,
Okay.
but every designer has a stamp. Because I had Sarah Sham last season, and she's so fun to chat with too. But it's not just her. Like if I talk to any other interior designer or someone who does this, they always say that, we don't really have one way. But as an outsider, like I see that you have a certain stamp. Everybody has that, but maybe when you're in it, you don't realize it. It's
Possibly.
one of those things. Yeah. Because when I see your design language, if I didn't know your name was Krish Kothari, I could feel like this design company could be from anywhere in the world.
Okay.
I mean, it just feels very international. It feels like it could be from anywhere. This was not a conscious decision, right? This was something you just probably, whatever you are inclined to or whatever was attracting you, you did that.
Yeah. And we kind of go with the flow, right? Because the design journey is kind of it's more of an exploration that you do with the client, right? And as I get to spend more time with the client and their family and what they stand for as people, the more and more I start visualizing the space.
Do you think that's why, like maybe Dubai clients, you appeal to them so much because of this international kind of feel to the language?
Well, yes and no. A lot of my clients in Dubai are Indian. Most of the clients that come to us want an international look and feel. They're not
Right.
looking for that, authentic Indian or, a certain particular type of style. Like no one would come to me and say, Krish, I want a neoclassical house with gold molding, because they know I wouldn't do that.
Right.
Or even if I would do that, I'm probably not going to be good at it, so I'll just say no. But they come in with the idea of having an ultra contemporary international look and feel to their house.
Right.
95% of them.
Right, yeah, because that's like what I see when I
That's
see
what-
your work,
yeah,
right?
exactly.
So, I mean, the clients probably choose you according to what they see and
Yeah.
what they like. Do you follow trends?
Yes, I do, but I don't like the word for interiors.
So, what word would you replace with trends?
Timelessness. So there's this long-standing debate on trends versus timeless.
Right.
But for something to become timeless, it was a trend at some point,
That's true.
realistically.
How do you decide that this trend is something which is going to become timeless?
I evaluate it at a very deep level. So I'll just give you one simple example. Let's talk about biophilic design.
What design?
Biophilic design.
Biophilic.
The idea of putting plants in a space, in a lot of spaces in
Okay.
the interiors, right? So it's associated with wellness. You'd have a more health-centric or
Better
human-centric design.
oxygen, I guess.
Yeah, one of the few benefits.
Better
And
air.
also connecting with nature has a significant effect on your hormones. And also today, for the clients that we have at least, they're out there in the world jet setting, taking meetings, lack
Right.
of sleep, closing crazy deals. When they come home, most of them tell me, I want to lose track of time, I want to relax, and I want to calm down and
It has
unwind.
to be a sanctuary, kind of.
Yes,
Yeah.
most importantly. So that's the kind of basis that we take when we're designing a space. And it doesn't matter what the color scheme is, that it has to give you that output.
That feel.
Yes.
So, okay, then tell me the top 3 things that are on your priority list when you're making a home, regardless of the client, like of what their specific design needs are.
I would say the first one is definitely context,
Okay.
most importantly. So when the client meets you on day one, they have a certain idea of what their space wants to be, but I kind of put them on a different path and I kind of try to tell them, tell me how you want to feel when you're in this space, when you're occupying the space, when you're using it. What kind of functionality do you want? What kind of features do you want? So that's the most important thing, that when we're doing layouts or when we're doing elevations and renders, we have to go back to what the client said on day one and make sure that we're addressing all of it. So first thing, that's the context.
Yeah.
Second thing I would say is operational efficiency. Today, people want large homes, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000, 25, some are even 40,000 square feet. Homes, a family of 4, family of 6.
Yeah,
Imagine
crazy,
that.
yeah.
They want these beautiful, large, grand spaces, but then it comes to maintenance, durability. We have to create a space where materials are sort of easily maintained, A, and B, it's also easy to operate the house.
Yeah.
Today, if I give you a switchboard in a 40,000 square foot house with 200 switches to control each light, you're going to go crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
Right? So automation systems, how the programming is done, how easy is it for the client to use their house on a daily basis? Does the house operate around the client or does the client have to operate the house? Ideally, the house should operate around the client.
Exactly.
So it's seamless. I would say that's probably another very, very, very important thing. And then the third thing at the end of the day, for me, it comes from a very, very personal space. Like I wanted to design homes because I come from a broken family. So like my parents got divorced when I was 4 years old. And I've never sat on a dining table with my mom and dad, ever. It's always been separate and they lead separate lives. And I have a
Right.
great equation with both of them,
Right.
but I never had that idea of what it was like. I used to go to my friends' houses when I was a kid and sit on the dining table with their parents and them. So I kind of only got that from there. So when I hand over a project, and sure, the space can look phenomenal, it can look great. The client can be like, wow, people coming in the house will be like, oh my God, this house is so you. That's one touch point of happiness for me. Second most important thing is when they're all sitting together in their family lounge or their dining area, and their interaction is actually better and more integrated because of the space I've created. It fulfills a very deep personal need of mine. That's actually the biggest point of happiness.
That's so beautiful because you're using whatever that was in your childhood that you needed to something very
Yeah.
positive, you know?
Yeah, it was this dark energy that was there for a very long time. And it could have impacted my life negatively as well.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
But I took it and sort of converted it to light. And
Yeah.
that's why I kind of have this unlimited fuel to just keep making spaces.
Yeah.
Because it is a very difficult role.
Of course.
You know, create, and also like the type of clients that we have, they've seen more of the world than I have.
Yeah.
All of them.
Right.
They're significantly more wealthier. They have access to a lot more. So they are paying me X amount of fees to give them something groundbreaking that they haven't seen,
Yeah, that's
which
a
is challenging in
a lot
itself.
of responsibility.
It's
Also,
tough.
like being
Yeah.
responsible for somebody else's money, right? Or somebody else's
Yeah.
dream house is a big responsibility.
Yeah, it's tough. So, even making renders that impress them itself is hard.
Right, but clearly you're doing it well.
I would say I'm getting better at it every day. In my
Yeah.
journey, I mean, I've made some mistakes.
I mean, it's not
Everyone has.
Yeah.
But it's important to learn from those mistakes from
Yeah.
your client's point of view, and then keep getting better so you can service clients better. So it's
Can
kind
you tell
of.
me one of the mistakes? It'll be nice just to know,
I mean,
because-
a vendor commits 90 days as a timeline to deliver XYZ item. Procurement team places the order on day 88. And then it comes 3 days later to the client,
Yeah.
which is against our commitments. And then, clients get upset. And
Yeah.
I don't have anything to say because it is our mistake.
Right.
Now that's not possible anymore because
Yeah.
we have artificial intelligence and
Yeah.
mapping those lead times automatically. So it just throws system errors like every
Right.
day. But yeah, it's a constant learning process.
even with the help of AI, but how do you ensure all these vendors deliver things on time when we're in India? And India has Indian standard time,
I guess over the years, we've tried and tested a lot of vendors.
Yeah.
And we've kind of narrowed down to 2, 3 of the best in this country.
Yeah.
Depending on what it is. Could be carpentry, could be painting, could be furniture, could be anything. After that, we've kind of created a process between them and us where we have watertight contracts with them. We have purchase orders with them where there's a penalty if the lead times are not met.
That's a good idea.
And on top of that, the system automatically flags when payments are due, and vendors have to keep sending data that, okay, production is ready. Things still go wrong, but instead of 10 things going wrong, one
It's
or
a
two
lot
things go wrong.
better, yeah.
And you can't perfect it, it's impossible.
I can't but help if I walk into, like, say, a fashion show or walk into, which is supposed to be something fashion related. I'll start like assessing that, okay, this could have been nice if they did this, or like maybe that could have, not really consciously, but somewhere in the back of my mind, I start like, mapping things. Does that happen to you when you walk into a home?
Like when I walk into a space, sometimes I'm like, oh wow. Sometimes I'm like, why did they do that?
Yeah.
But I don't say it. And I never
Even
say
if it's
it.
a friend, you don't
Even if
give
it's
advice?
a friend, I don't say it.
Yeah.
I don't get into it unless they ask me for advice.
Yeah.
I will never.
It's a sensitive topic.
I will
guess.
never
People's
say
home
it.
is
Yeah.
sensitive. Yeah.
In fact, I have some of my clients who takes me like for a drink or a dinner to their friend's house, and their friend said, "Oh yeah, I did this with so and so, and this was the work." And my client asked me, saying, "What's wrong?" And I said, "I will tell you later.
Yeah.
I don't really want to get into that." And
Yeah.
the thing is, like, it's very easy to go into a space and pinpoint things, but there's a reason the designer or the contractor's done it that way. Most of the time when people are critiquing it, they don't know the context.
Usually things are done a certain way because that's what the client wanted, let's be honest. Yeah.
Sometimes it's what the client wanted.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's what the designer may have tried to achieve but couldn't achieve it. Sometimes it's contractor error.
Yeah.
But it's very easy to go in and nitpick. People can
Right.
go into projects that I've done and nitpick as well.
Right.
But knowing the context is important. So as a professional, I kind of don't get into that.
Who do you admire, like in the design space?
There are 3 firms whose work I admire. One is Yodazine.
Yodazine. Where are they based?
They're based in Kiev,
Okay.
but they have offices all over. The other one is Ferris Rafoli. He's a Canadian-based designer.
Okay.
And the other one is Studio 54. They're Russians.
Ooh, okay.
These are the 3 firms whose work I really look out to and sort of get inspired by, and I really respect their work. The way they do compositions, nobody does it like them.
Yeah.
And it's specifically interiors, right? Because I do interiors, I don't do architecture.
Right.
So I'm only looking at that point of view. And the compositions that these guys are do, sometimes I'm just like, wow, they're like gods of
They're
this.
really thinking out of the box.
And it's not just one project. It's like delivering like 20, 13 a year that
Yeah.
all have the same amount of impact on me, even though the material schemes are different.
Right. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you do mainly homes and offices. Would you want to get into like hotels or like other spaces?
For restaurants, I've kind of said no to a lot of proposals that have come in because I just feel like I'm not going to be adding much value to it.
Yeah.
My interest also because of my past and my context is more to do with homes.
Yeah.
But yes, there are offices as well that we do, but we don't run more than 12 projects at a time between Dubai and India. We keep it to that because in India they're build projects, so we need 6 to 7 resources per project.
Yeah.
In Dubai, design consultancy and contracting are 2 separate things.
Right.
So in Dubai, we're running about 4 of them. And in India, right now, we're running about 6. We're starting 2 more. 80 to 85% are residential and 15% are commercial. Maybe 2 out of 12 are commercial projects. Also, they are offices for clients whose houses I've already done.
Yeah. What are like the major things people do wrong, which are so important, but they don't think about it,
Yeah, just certain like small functionality things, like for example, designing the kitchens in the correct manner.
Yeah.
Just in terms of layout. There's a golden triangle rule that has to be followed in terms of your cooking fridge and oven and heating and prepping space.
What is that? The golden triangle means that they
Yeah.
should all be in different.
They should
Okay.
all be in different and easily accessible without any movement flow restriction.
Where should the window be?
Ideally, the window should be where the sink is. The sunlight that comes in through a window is
Yeah.
actually a disinfectant because of UV. So your sink, because you're constantly cleaning out there, the sunlight should hit your sink directly.
Interesting.
Generally, that's a good rule of thumb.
And so the other important components should be in
Yes.
the three edges of the
Yes,
kitchen.
and easily accessible without any movement restriction. So, I mean, every design project has different errors. Even in our own projects, like I would say, finally, when the design package is being sent to the contractors, to sort of for them to understand, I take out certain errors. Like there could be certain lighting errors. For example, too much lighting in a space.
I can't take it.
It could be that the gap between the sofa and the dining chair, the movement space is not 1500 or 1200 millimeters, which is enough for two people to walk simultaneously up and down. Every project has different errors, and it's just important to kind of go through it, review it multiple times, but with different eyes in the firm, not
I
just
think this is
mine.
a really interesting point. Movement. Ideally, you should think about movement all
Yeah.
around the house, right? That's
Yeah.
really important.
Very important.
I'll just say some things which I've seen that I find really odd. You enter the house, and the first thing there is like a dining area. I
Okay.
find that very odd. They'll put the dining here, the kitchen will be this side, and the living space will be this side.
Yeah, generally you would walk into a living
should be
area.
living, right? It should be
well,
living.
more like a foyer, which is a break to the living.
A foyer
and
if you have the space, but if you don't
you
have
have
the space, it should be living.
Should be the living.
Yeah.
And your dining should be directly accessed by your kitchen in terms of the least amount of movement. Just
Yeah.
because once you're done eating, in India we have a culture where the staff clears out the plates and things.
Right.
So that movement is restricted to that space.
Another thing I don't like, it's again random, but when people design bathrooms, like I don't like it when you open the bathroom and the first thing you see is the pot.
Yeah.
I just don't find that, like, I don't know, aesthetic, Like
Yeah.
it'll be nice if you open it, you see the sink or anything else,
Yeah.
and the pot should be a little like hidden or on the
Yeah.
it shouldn't be the first thing you see.
Yeah, so traditional hospitality design
Yeah.
is when you open the door, you have the sink straight in front of you,
Right.
and you have the WC on the left or the right,
Right.
and then the shower on the opposite side.
Right,
That's
right,
a standard configuration,
Right.
and generally people don't like to see the WC when you enter. It's also an issue with Vastu.
Oh, is there a Vastu thing? Oh my God. Wait, I have to discuss this. Has
Yeah.
Vastu driven you mad?
So initially it was difficult to work around for us
Yeah.
because when we first started off, we didn't have a clear process of how to incorporate Vastu in the space planning phase.
Yeah.
Now what we do is before we even start space planning, we tell the client, do you believe in Vastu? If yes, do you have a consultant? Your consultant will come on board. We will show them the zoning and they will first give us a signed layout saying that this goes here and these are the rules you have to follow. Only then we will design
Much
it.
smarter. So no
Because
wasting time. Yeah.
Exactly. Because what happens is you design the whole thing, the client likes it, and the Vastu person comes in and shreds it.
Yeah.
And you're like, couldn't have done this
Sometimes
before.
you build things and they come and say, "Ki, isko yahan se nikal do," and all that stuff.
Yeah, in our case, definitely not.
Yeah.
Because until every single component in your project is approved and signed off in terms of specification, budget, and timeline, we're not starting work. Not even waterproofing.
I think Vastu consultants are like the biggest dread factor with like interior designers.
Not if they come in on day one, but if the
Yeah.
client wants opinions from two different people, then oh my God, that's chaos.
Oh my God, yeah.
That's chaos.
I have another question because I don't know too much about Vastu. Isn't it like a science? It's not like astrology.
It is a science.
It is a science.
It's a
So how
science
can-
that I do not understand.
It's not an opinion-based thing then.
Not the base principles, but some interpretations can be different. Like someone will say, oh, you should turn your WC this way. It's recommended.
Okay.
But if you're keeping it this way, it's not a problem. The other person will say, you can't have it this way at all. Put it anywhere else.
What's the craziest thing someone's asked you to do?
Mirrors on all four surfaces in a room.
Huh?
Yep.
So mirror on the ceiling, mirror on the floor?
Mirror on the walls.
Was it a Pilates studio?
No, it was supposed to be a powder. And she said, I want infinite reflections. And I said, no, that'll give everyone a migraine and it'll disorient people,
Yeah.
especially if they're drinking. Please don't do that.
Yeah, imagine. Oh my God.
We've had some crazy requests. Some we fulfilled, some we haven't.
Yeah.
There's just too many of them.
That's probably why this job doesn't get boring because it's probably you hear all these like ideas that come out of clients' mouths. Sometimes you're like, oh, okay, that's a new one.
Yeah, and clients today, they get influenced with corridor conversations they have with their friends or when they're out. And usually there's always context missing.
Yeah.
So in today's hyper-connected world, I would say, with Pinterest, with Instagram, half information is dangerous.
Yeah.
For example, in a wardrobe, like it's a mechanism that takes the pants out and comes back, especially if you have a high wardrobe. And I'm like, okay, fine, but are you okay to give up a wardrobe next to it because of the motor? They're like, no. So I was like, okay, fine.
Okay, let me ask you about some of these things that I have seen in all the videos that I watch. Okay, usually above a fireplace, it's not ideal to have a TV in the living room. What they do is they have a piece of art, and with a remote, the screen can go up, and then it reveals a TV, or it like flips. On one side is art,
Yeah.
one side is TV. What do you think about that?
Excellent.
Yeah?
Fantastic. Because there are certain people in the family who may not want a TV in the living room, and there are certain people in the family who may want a TV in the living
Yeah.
room. So you're balancing everyone's needs. But then again, in the living room, for that mechanism, you need some depth. Everything starts from the client brief and ends with the
Are
client
you
brief.
personally for concealing TVs in living spaces?
Personally, TV should only be in the TV room,
Okay.
not even in the bedroom.
What about wallpaper as opposed to paint?
Different things have different applications. I don't really like painting that much in India. So if you see most of our projects, everything is cladded. The reason for that is there's a lot of moisture in India. And as you know, buildings do shake a little bit. You don't feel it, but they do. So
Okay.
what happens is because of the moisture and the inherent shake, paint develops cracks eventually. You have to keep servicing it every 2 years.
Yeah, it's tedious.
Yeah, when you put wallpaper,
It's sorted.
and if you know that material, that wall is susceptible to dampness because of moisture and things like that, clad it. Put wood, put veneer, put marble, put leather, put anything else.
Leather on the walls.
Yeah, we use a lot of leather on the walls, like leather paneling.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
That gives me a very bachelor pad vibe.
Does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you use leather a lot for
Yes, we
detailing?
do. Leather is very important to use in a space, not just on like furniture and things like that, but like even on the walls, because it creates a level of softness. When you have a very big space and you've cladded marble, veneer, and things like those are all hard materials. Leather gives you a tactile feel. It softens the feel of the space.
So it's one of your favorite materials to work with?
Within restrictions, yes, not
But what
everywhere.
are the other materials you like besides leather?
Suede is the other. I like using textured, embossed veneers. I think they give a lot of character. I love using highlighter marbles as well in the
What's
space.
a highlighter marble?
Like a really funky marble, something where the marble looks like a highlight. A lot of clients come up to me and they say, "Oh, Krish, we want to buy, like 5,000, 6,000 rupees a square foot Satvario marble for the floor." And I'm like, "No, it's a waste of money. You can spend 2,000 rupees a square foot and get a good quality floor marble, which is anyway going to get covered by a rug and furniture. You might as well spend on something which people can see and
That's true.
you can also feel."
That's
So different approach again.
Any celebrity home you've seen India outside of India that you've thought, okay, that's pretty beautiful?
Like Drake's house is done by Ferris Rafali. Wow.
Yeah?
Phenomenal.
I need to check it out.
Yeah.
What are the best places for somebody doing a home on their own to get inspiration from?
For ideas, I would definitely say Instagram is probably a go-to. But I always tell people, go to China, go to Italy, go to the fairs and see how the brands have done the arrangements of furniture with the booths. Even
China has a big design fair?
China has a huge design fair.
And everything must be like 1/3 the price of the Italy one?
Some of it is counterfeit, which is copies, because China is very good at that, and everyone knows that. But 70% of the brands have their own designers.
Oh, wow.
Where it's very well-made furniture, like it's fantastic quality. And if you see the way the booths are, I'm talking about one booth being like 5,000 square feet.
Wow, yeah.
So people will get the idea of arrangements of furniture in their house. I think the China fair and the Milan fair is a go-to place for everyone who's interested in interiors, not just professionals. Yeah,
So something to check out, basically.
definitely, 100%, without a doubt.
Are you into this logo furniture?
Logo furniture?
Fendi, 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 or like, the Versace like head everywhere. Like,
I don't think that that's luxury. Fendi does make fantastic furniture because it's made by, Italians in luxury living group. And Versace also makes very good furniture in terms of quality, but that aesthetic where the branding is sort of pasted all over doesn't really resonate with me. I kind of use brands like Minotti, Visionaire, Vittorio Frigero, which are a lot more subtle, but it's probably the same quality.
if you have to say what luxury interiors are to you in like one line,
It should hit all your senses at one time when you're in a space, first thing. And the second thing is the least amount of hours to finish the max amount of work. What people don't factor out here is when they have ultra-wealthy clients, they're paying you a fees, sure, but the cost of their time is exponentially more than ours.
that's true.
And we have to respect that. So we have to structure their design program from the beginning to the end. 30 hours to finish your design. That's it. And then 8 months or 1 year of execution. I need you to come on site once every month. You can go whenever you want, but come once a month for reports. And that's it. We have to structure their time because, all these guys, billionaires and multimillionaires, they have assistants scheduling their every hour in their calendar,
Yeah.
literally. And they expect us to also operate like that. And if you're not organized, you're in trouble.
Amazing. This makes me want to go and get a planner or get an assistant for to start off with. Get a planner, get more organized. Amazing. Yeah, congratulations on all the work you're doing. This was nice.
Thank you very much.
So, in my support for homegrown brands, today I'm wearing Shop Nirvana, this dress by them. It's super comfortable, actually. And this beautiful piece of jewelry, these earrings by Rasa Fine Jewels.